Hello there. Well, it is November and I'm doing the second last video of the year. And as I said previously, I had taken a short break from the writing as I was getting a little bit stuck on the main central character and the storyline he was following. And this goes right back to the issue I was having early in the summer, where political events in the world had kind of started getting in the way, and I was rather uncomfortable with where things were going there, because part of the story I had in my head, and I was already halfway through writing it out, had a great deal to do with what was currently going on. And I was not terribly comfortable with that, because I just kind of made up a scenario myself in my head a couple of years ago for this particular story. And suddenly, it happens sometimes. We come up with ideas for books, we come up with ideas with short stories and things like that, and suddenly it's actually happening in the world, and you feel a little bit unnerved by it. And I have to confess, I was feeling a little bit unnerved by it. That's why publicly I was kind of withdrawn a little bit, and I bumped into one or two people, and I kind of just started hiding away from them, because I was just getting a little bit nervous, not venturing too much into mental health conditions and things like that. I wasn't getting paranoid or anything like that, but I was getting quite anxious, as the world is a strange place at the moment, and pretty much all we can do is the best for ourselves. And anyway, like I was saying, I decided to change the storyline. The central character has changed. I've got a better idea where it's going to go now, and a better idea where the subplot, the two central subplots, bind into the main storyline, and the finishing point is starting to become visible to me. I've got an idea where the finishing point is now going to be. It will probably be the springtime, but I'll have time to get around to talking about that in another video. For now though, I am going to continue with the writers group in the stall, which has been considerable help. Normally public speaking is something I'm terrible at. That's why the videos I'm doing here aren't really terribly professional. They're not meant to be professional. There's loads of YouTube channels out there that have serious content, serious writers, established publishers, and they've got excellent ideas to follow. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm just rambling on about my own issues and how I'm doing my writing and where I'm going with the writing. Kind of a video blogs, or a kind of diary, if you like, a verbal diary about how I'm doing with the writing and where I'm going with my characters and things like that. And that's pretty much it. And every now and again I'll have something to say that some people might find useful, and that's fine, that's helpful too. Anyway, the central character, Candor, as I was saying earlier in the year, he's Irish, but he's been living in France for years. He worked in the Foreign Legion. He retired from the Foreign Legion, got recruited by the Intelligence Service. The Intelligence Service has a spin-off group. He joined that spin-off group, and now he's gone from one state, which is the kind of fictional country. I had to make it fictional. I couldn't go along with the real storyline, the real country, which I intended to at the start. But as I said, I changed that, and now we're calling it one state. And he's gone from there to Germany and on to the Ukraine. And that's pretty much where I can see the end coming into view, probably around January or February or something like that. We'll deal with that another day. Anyway, I don't wish to go on too long here, because I'm just thinking of what to say as I go along. As I said, I don't particularly worry too much about having things perfect. Everybody has things perfect with their videos sometimes, and I'm just firing it out as I come up with it. And I've just noticed my teddy bear in the corner there. I forgot to take him away before I started the video. Anyway, never mind. Next month's video will recap the story I've done so far and the central character, and I'll give you a little bit more information on him. But for now, I'm going to stick with my writers group. That's helping me come up with new ideas. That's helping me an awful lot, in fact. And hopefully that's is due to in sometime in February, and around then I'll have something more to say about the end of my book and all that kind of thing. But for now anyway, for November, second last video of the year, things are quite well. Please forgive my voice, it's a little bit stuffed. It goes a bit like that sometimes. I'm not sure why it goes like that. I'm not famous for public speaking. That's probably why, I'm not that great at long-term conversations and things like that. But anyway, we're coming up to the end of this video now. I don't want to go on all day long. As I said, I've got a fairly good idea of where I'm going, and I'm happy enough with it. And that's the main thing about writing. You need to find the level where you're happy at. If you're not happy with your writing, it's time to change something. There's no point trying to force yourself to write just for the sake of concluding something you plan to do. If you're not really 100% happy, it's time to change something. Could be something as simple as a subplot, central character, change the character's name, add a few years to the story, take it back into the past. There's always a little change you can do to make yourself happy with it. And I'm quite happy with where I'm going. So that's it. That's it. I have much more to say today. Next month I'll have something interesting to say to you. So that's it.